Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I am going to be giving you my Cancer June 2019 horoscope forecast, part 2 of 2. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is as far as June goes, Venus will be in Gemini from the 9th until the 30th, so the 12th house will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, in some isolated cases, this could be about perhaps having a clandestine affair with a Gemini. It could be a Gemini Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Gemini characteristics. This could also be, but maybe a Gemini connection might drive you figuratively crazy, maybe tied into your secret sorrows. And also there may be some financial limitations at this time, perhaps attributed to spending money as fast as you may earn it, or maybe just buying things that are, spending money on superficial items that are really of not much significance really to you. But this could also be about valuing versatility, eloquence, intellectual stimulation in private, or maybe perhaps with an aunt or an uncle. It could also be about maybe just the enjoyment of doing too many things, this enjoyment of just maybe almost spreading yourself too thin, trying to do too many things, being Mr. or Mrs. Versatile might be the self-undoing at this time, and maybe just that love of trying to do too many things could be the self-undoing during this time. So anyway, and also in some cases this could be about a Gemini connection being hidden, perhaps a hidden adversary. In some cases, again, it could be a Gemini Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or one that embodies Gemini traits. Next thing up, Mars will be in Cancer, so the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, well, you might become, this could be a time where you might have a very strong surfite and abundance of energy, perhaps injecting it into Cancerian new beginnings. It could be something with doing something with culinary work or cooking or laundry work. It could be doing home remodeling, renovation. Could also be a time where you might become somewhat angry and overly temperamental, moody, clingy, oversensitive, perhaps person from your early childhood, or it could be a grandmother. Could also be at a time, Cancer, if you're unattached, you might begin a sexual liaison with a Cancer Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or one that embodies Cancerian traits. It could be with someone you knew from your early childhood, a person that might be instrumental in new beginnings. And also it might be a time where you might be taking action connected with Cancerian physical body issues, such as something with the chest or the stomach. You might appear more courageous and combative on a first impression, and might be getting into fights with people maybe at a fast food place or some restaurant. I had a prominent family member that has Mars and Cancer in her first house, and she was notorious for getting into a lot of contentious situations with people in the restaurant business. So anyway, next thing up, Jupiter will be in Sagittarius still, so the 6th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, this might manifest, as I've talked about previously, Jupiter can be very paradoxical, could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. It could enlarge and expand the Sagittarius health issues. It could be something connected with the thighs or the liver, or something with the sciatic nerve. It could also be a time that could be very fortuitous just by being the incorrigible optimist and doing so and being like this in your daily routine, expanding jocularity and joviality in the daily routine with an aunt, with an uncle. And also it could be very auspicious for sports and athletics and factoring into your health at this time. And also maybe some hope and optimism as far as religion goes with an aunt or an uncle, with your employees, people prominent in your daily routine at this time. And also at the same time, it could expand and enlarge, perhaps worrying at this time as well, or even hypochondriac tendencies. Just make sure you're not overly exuberant, because we're talking about Sagittarius energy regarding things that are of a hypochondriac nature. But this could be very isolated and but still a little more possible given that you're talking about the planet in the house. So anyway, next thing. Saturn will still be in Capricorn, so the 7th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, you might find yourself dealing with certain restrictions and limitations in your just with others in general, with a significant other. It might be in some kind of business partnership situation. You might find yourself becoming, in some cases you might find yourself taking care of a sickly or debilitated significant other, or it could be a grandmother. It could be something Capricorn related, such as something with the knees, the bones, or the joints. It might be making you feel somewhat despondent, melancholy, taking on a lot of this responsibility. And say if this is making an opposition to your ascendant or your sun, this could be something where it might be taking a little toll on your physical energy and vitality. Now, at this time, it might be about manifesting strong responsibilities, consistent ones to perhaps legal matters, lawsuits in some cases, to others in general. It might be a time too where you might be gaining structure and discipline in your relationships, but it could also be where it could be an older Capricorn, might be an open adversary at this place, or one that embodies Capricorn traits, and older people in general might be open enemies at this time as well. And if you're unattached at this time, Cancer, you might connect with an older Capricorn sun, moon, or ascendant person, or one that embodies Capricorn characteristics. Could also manifest in Saturn-like competition at this time, such as something in business or politics. So anyway, and older people might figure more prominently in legal matters at this time and lawsuits. So anyway, next thing up. Uranus will still be in Taurus, so the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, this could be about perhaps Taurus friendships might play more of an integral role in your goals, your aspirations, your future. They could be Taurus, sun, moon, or ascendant people, or ones that simply embody Taurus characteristics. You might be dealing with certain unusual, stubborn, obstinate behavior with people that are in groups, clubs, organizations, friends, perhaps even stepchildren if you do have them. On a positive note, though, this could also manifest in Uranus type goals and aspirations that you do with a lot of persistence. It could be something with astrology, astronomy, aerospace, even rocket science, computers, electronics, innovation. Also, though, financial fluctuations might strongly be impacting your future. This could also be about Uranus-type social media networking people that you get involved with more at this time. It could be people that are in Uranus fields. This could be about doing something humanitarian, showing a lot of humanitarianism in groups, clubs, organizations, and in matters with your friends at this time and acquaintances. So anyway, well, next thing up, Neptune will still be in Pisces, so the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, well, Neptune can sometimes be about dissipation and dissolving. This could be about the dissipation, dissolving, perhaps of a connection with an in-law, a grandchild. Be careful regarding fallacious or false prophets or phony psychics trying to guide you in certain 9th house directions, such as maybe traveling, making a long distance journey, or a college education, or I should say a college course perhaps, or matters with publishing. This could also be about, at this time, on a positive note, you may be doing something, taking a Neptune-like college course or higher education course. It could be doing something with chemistry, the metaphysical, which includes astrology, something with pharmaceutical, or it could be something dancing, taking a course in poetry, anything that could be Neptune related. You may be more inclined to take long-distance journeys by boat and sea, but remember that you're talking about This time Neptune can be very lethargic energy. Now, especially if this is making an adverse aspect to your natal Mars, Sun, or Ascendant, you might feel more like daydreaming, fantasizing about ninth house matters as opposed to actually doing, such as something with taking a college education course, improving your education, your higher education, doing something long distance traveling, publishing, anything ninth house related. And at this time, just be careful about really strong false indoctrination at this time, since we're talking about Neptune being connected with deception, duplicity, and of course the ninth house is associated with religion. You might also be dealing with more perhaps deceptive or duplicitous people at some religious congregation at this time, but you also may be publishing something Neptune related, such as something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology, or something connected with the sea, or poetry, something with dancing, chemistry, anything that could be Neptune related. So anyway, well, last but not least, hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. Last but not least, Pluto will be in Capricorn still, so the 7th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, in some cases, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but you know I'm going to anyway. It could manifest perhaps in the actual literal death of perhaps a significant other, or it could be a grandmother, it could be someone you were in some business partnership with. This might be more about power connected with negotiation. I'd say power of attorney, but I'm being flippant, of course, with that. You might be dealing with more upheavals and power struggles in your relationships. This could also be about drawing perhaps very powerful open adversaries at this time. But on a positive note, it could be about the obliteration of legal matters and being able to have control in them at this time as well. But also it could be also manifest perhaps in terrorists or subversive types, maybe open adversaries. If you get connected with a partnership at this time, it could very likely be a Plutonian one. It could be something connected with insurance, or something with death, such as coroner work, or working as a funeral at a funeral. It could be like a funeral director, or somebody, or some partnership that's associated with funeral work. It could be something too where maybe another example, Plutonian partnership could be something with the occult, the supernatural, astrology, or even something connected with recycling. It might be some kind of business connection at this time. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Cancer June 2019 horoscope forecast. Part 2 of 2. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be giving you my Leo June 2019 horoscope forecast, part 1 of 2. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.